Okay, I think we are live, so we're just going to take a couple seconds here, make sure everything is working well on the stream, and then we'll get going. Um, do, 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 do. Okay. Oh yeah, that's good stuff. Okay, so welcome to Bold Black Friday University. This is Wednesday, November 15th, 2017, and this week we are doing our BFCM Expert Series where we're talking with a bunch of different people to learn kind of the ins and outs of Black Friday. We've been going over specific topics. Sorry, Mike just waved to us there. We've been going over topics all week and for the past month to discuss. Geez, sorry, someone behind the camera is being a goof.
It's all professional.
Professionalism. All professional here. Anyways, so we've been talking about stuff and kind of lessons learned that we can use for Black Friday and really apply to make sure Black Friday this year is the best one yet. The stat that I think we've used the most during this whole process, excuse me, has been last year on Shopify, merchants were selling over $550,000 a minute. They were processing that through their Shopify stores at the peak of Black Friday. So like a crazy amount of traffic. So if we haven't gotten you convinced that Black Friday is a big deal yet, I hope that we can today because we're getting close to the big day. So yeah, that's the plan for today. So we're going to talk about keeping customers after Black Friday and retaining them. Obviously, Black Friday comes with a whole bunch of new customers and people who will come to your store and learn about you for the first time. What we want to do is we want to make sure that they stay and stick around after Black Friday and through the rest of the year so that we can turn them into really valuable customers for us to have gained. If you're new to Black Friday University, I'll give you just a quick kind of logistical rundown. You can throw questions in the chat box on the right hand side, or you can throw in suggested topics in there. We can talk about some stuff for a bit. You can use the ask a question button underneath the video window to do the same thing. And the settings option is the little cog at the bottom of the video. So if you're seeing buffering or anything, you can just click on that and we'll be good to go. So with me today, I have Paul Rajat. He is a growth specialist at Bold here, which is a very exciting, buzzwordy sounding title. But we're going to talk about keeping customers after Black Friday and seeing how we can get them to stick around. So Paul, why don't you tell us why it's so important to make sure that we're actually keeping customers after the Black Friday weekend?
I think the main thing is just to keep in mind that, I don't know the exact numbers, there's a lot of different kind of case studies and stuff like that on there, but the general consensus is it costs you a lot less to get new customers than it does to market and sell to current customers.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like the main focus. You always hear things like, in terms of email marketing, the money's in the list, that kind of stuff, that kind of verbiage. And it makes it easier, right? You don't have to pay to reach those people that are already, say, on an email list or following you on social media and engaging with your brand. You don't have to spend extra money in terms of advertising dollars. So that's really important. And also creating a higher kind of lifetime value for your customers and average order values with sales and special discounts and all that kind of stuff. I know for myself personally, whenever I engage with a brand, I'm much more likely to purchase from them again if I have a good experience. So you want those people coming back, and whether it's word of mouth or emails or whatever you decide to do, that one customer is going to be more valuable to you than trying to reach a new one.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, acquisition is like by far the highest cost that we have when we're dealing with customers online. Yeah. Unless you're a very, very large brand that gets a ton of like organic social traffic that you don't have to pay for, organic search traffic where you've kind of built up your reputation over the years and you're trusted by search engines who will find you kind of on their own. Acquiring new customers almost always means that we need to pay for them in some way. And usually that's through social media advertising or through search advertising. Yeah. And so, if we can reduce those costs and kind of get more out of the customers that are already in our ecosystem and have already found our store, that's obviously a way less expensive way to do business and to grow our sales, right? So, you said it very well. There's a ton of potential, you know, particularly with this big influx of new customers that we get over Black Friday, Cyber Monday, to market to them and to kind of grow our lifetime value and to get them purchasing on kind of a repeat basis from our store and trusting our brand as one that will work for them. So we'll talk about a couple different strategies to do that today. We're going to keep this around a half hour or so, just because we know you guys are busy setting up and getting ready for Black Friday. Again, if you have any questions, just throw them in the chat box to the right-hand side of the screen. But I think the first strategy that we can talk about is email address collection. So email marketing, you touched on it, is, you know, is a really, really powerful way of marketing to existing or very close to existing customers. Yeah. I say that because sometimes people will give you their email address before they've actually purchased anything from your store. Yeah. But the collection of email addresses is something that's so easy on a platform like Shopify. There's so many apps that can do it. Privy is a really common one. Shopify can do it actually natively out of the box, so you don't even need an app for it. But there's a ton of different potential there, and you can really take advantage of those email addresses that you've gotten to market to those customers after the fact. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, collecting email addresses is a huge potential driver of traffic. So after we've collected those email addresses, we obviously have to do something with them, right?
Absolutely.
So, sorry, go ahead.
No, absolutely. What I was just going to say is, you know, there's obviously an opportunity, like you said, to once someone's made a purchase, to capture that email, and then obviously to market to them afterwards. So, I mean, that could be as simple as sending an email after purchase, offering them a discount on a second purchase, which then really starts to get that customer involved with your brand. And, you know, if they like their first offer, then they're going to come back. Offering even another email you could send out to them would be asking for a review of your product, or, you know, product or service or whatever it is you're offering, and using that, and that kind of snowballs into using that as social proof and using testimonials and all that kind of powerful stuff that other customers look at and say, oh, okay, these guys are getting rave reviews for whether it's customer service or the product or whatever it is, and then people trust that when they're making decisions online in terms of purchasing. Another kind of, I think, powerful tool you could use in terms of email as well is placing like a little bit of personalization, but also kind of the right time, right place type of marketing. Yep. For example, if you have a product that expires or that people use usually over a certain amount of time, you could set up, you know, email campaigns that go out. For example, if you had, I know something that's kind of become popular recently is hair extensions and that sort of thing. Usually they have kind of a lifetime specific. Don't ask me why I know about that,
but okay.
But, you know, they have kind of a lifetime of how long they'll last, depending on how they're made. So you could set up an email campaign that goes out, say if they last 6 months, for example, that goes out 6 months after purchase, and then that way, you know, you're kind of prompting that customer to make a repeat purchase.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, especially just, I think the key takeaway from that is just follow up with people. You know, we have their email addresses, and collecting email addresses is a strategy that needs to be in place before Black Friday. But what we do with those email addresses after Black Friday is really important as well. So like you mentioned, I mean, there's a ton of different things you can do with those addresses after people have made a purchase, whether that's asking for a review, just like sending a general follow-up, hey, how's it going with your purchase product? You know, did it get there on time? Did it get there all right? Was it intact? Things like that. Encouraging them to follow you on social media, and we'll talk a bit more about that later. But like, there's so much potential, you know, to use those follow-up emails as kind of a good marketing tool.
Absolutely. And another thing you could do as well, just to kind of pile on top of what you're saying, is if you do advertising, say Facebook advertising, you can use the addresses of people that purchase certain products and create retargeting lists that you know, you could offer them another product that is often purchased with that product or after that product or something like that. So you could, that's kind of some really niche targeting that you can get down to if you want to go that route as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we can't say enough positive things about email marketing, particularly as like we're an e-commerce business and we deal a lot with e-commerce, obviously, almost actually exclusively with e-commerce, you know, and a ton of merchants watching. You know, the great part about all this is it's so easily automated. Like, you know, we have a program here at Bold where we can start our own Shopify stores, and you know, get a little backing from the company to do it. And so it gives us a lot of good experience on how that works. And when I started a store earlier this year, I definitely didn't realize how many free tools there are out there for email marketing. You know, even like we've mentioned it multiple times on Black Friday University, but there's so many like MailChimp, Klaviyo, Rare, Dotmailer, so many different tools that you can use to automate all this stuff. So you have to write the email once and then it just sends it out to those people. Yeah. So if you can get that set up before Black Friday, or even ensure that it's in there a couple days after Black Friday, that will make sure that customers remember you after that's finished. Because remember, Black Friday happens, but there's still a ginormous you know, holiday shopping season that comes right after that. I mean, the weekend finishes and that's kind of the peak, but it continues to have a pretty lengthy, busy period for you, probably until the last week of December, or the second last week of December, I should say. And so, you know, making sure, I think, that merchants are like taking advantage of all the opportunities they have to remarket, either via email or through other methods that we'll talk about in a bit. Super, super important. It's so easy to get that stuff done. Anything else to add on email marketing, Paul?
Not at the moment. I mean, just another thing I think is just kind of a generic newsletter. I mean, you know, keeping people that you already have on your email list aware of, you know, if you're having flash sales or if you're, you know, any sort of discounted items, adding new products to your store, that kind of stuff, that people might be interested in that have already created or made purchases on your site.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, to tack on to that, that's a good point, is making sure that those emails come somewhat frequently after the purchase is made is also really important, I think. So in email marketing circles, there's a lot of talk about like a dead list, you know, which is you have a big list of email addresses, but those customers haven't purchased or thought of you in months or years or even weeks. You know, it could be as simple as that. And so what happens is they forgot that they've given you permission to email them, and you send them an email or a message, and they get it and they're like, wait a minute, who are these guys? Like, I don't remember, you know, ever doing this. So this either looks like spam and they put it in their spam folder, and that decreases your ability to email in the future, or they unsubscribe, or a lot of different things happen. So the key takeaway here, I think, is that once you get their email address, make sure that they're getting emails from you on a semi-regular basis, and that they're starting relatively soon after they make that purchase. You know, even if it's just a follow-up email a week later and then a newsletter every 2 or 3 weeks after that, that just keeps them active and engaged and has your brand in their mind, as opposed to letting it kind of drop and then they see an email in a couple months and they're like, wait a minute, these guys weren't all that special in the first place.
And I think that'll be something that where store owners kind of have to test out and figure out on their own. You know, you'll know how often your customers want to hear from you, whether or not it's a monthly newsletter or weekly or, you know, what have you. But you'll definitely get a sense of that looking at kind of your data from your emails and sent emails and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, for sure. So we'll move on from just the kind of basic collection of email addresses and sending those follow-up emails, I think, into receipt marketing, which is kind of a natural transition for this. We have, you know, a lot of brick and mortar stores are kind of trying this now and have been trying it for a while to do marketing on the receipt. And I think it's probably worked to a fairly low degree of success. If I had to take I have no data to back this up whatsoever, but if I had to take a guess, I would say it doesn't work very well. And the reason for that is because I'm not expecting anything on the receipt, right? When I buy something, I only really need it if I'm going to go make a return. But it's not like I'm reading every item line by line on a brick and mortar receipt. The difference here, as it pertains to e-commerce, I think, is that everybody checks the receipts because they need to know how it's being shipped and what the tracking number is.
Exactly.
You know, like every email that I get from Amazon, I 100% read because I need the tracking number to put it into the tracking app on my phone. And so that means that we have a really unique opportunity to market to those people through receipt marketing, particularly after Black Friday. There's going to be a whole bunch of receipts sent out, obviously, because you've just gotten a bunch more sales. And so we have an opportunity there to talk to people. And again, this is kind of, I think, a unique opportunity that we have in e-commerce because people actually read these, you know, read these, and they're actively engaged with the content in those emails, as opposed to, you know, if I hand you a receipt at the store and
Yeah.
you know, you might crumple it up
Shove it
and
in
put it
your
in your
pocket.
wallet or throw it in the garbage right away or whatever, and so I have a whole bunch of wasted effort. So there's a ton of different things you can do with receipt marketing. A lot of stores choose to encourage social media follows. I think a lot do kind of a follow-up discount code. So
Yeah.
another really common thing is to do like, you know, after you've made your purchase, here's 20% off your next purchase. And there's a whole bunch of research that shows once we get customers purchasing at least more than once, it makes it a lot easier to get them the third and the fourth and the fifth time. You know, so if we can get that second purchase from a customer, even if it's at a bit of a discount, we know we can get them later on. Actually, Paul from Pura Vida on Monday talked about how they employ that strategy as well. To, you know, they send discount codes because they know that getting the second purchase out of someone is almost more valuable than getting a first purchase out of someone, because they know that they'll get more and more and more beyond that point. So anyways, so they can encourage social media follows, they can run discount codes. There's opportunity there again for reviews, I think, as you mentioned, you know, just encouraging them to kind of share their experience elsewhere. If you have a particular location that you would like this done, maybe there's a specific forum that you know your customers frequent, or you know, a subreddit or a specialized review site. You know, there's a ton of those going around.
It could even just be as simple as leaving reviews on your own site or your own social media pages as well.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like there's tons and tons of opportunity there. You know, just making sure that we make the ask, right? It's the conversion rates on receipt marketing. Like there are entire companies built around receipt marketing for e-commerce. So it's definitely something that works, and particularly again over Black Friday, I would say even more so, because if customers are making a ton of different purchases from stores, they need to track all those down and figure out what is coming when. And so they're really reading for tracking numbers there. And if you can hit them with an offer, why not, right?
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And I mean, just take advantage of those emails. It's very common in e-commerce for those to be the highest open rates and the most read emails. I think, like you mentioned earlier, for customers when it comes to e-commerce stores. Another thing you could think about too in there is, you know, you want to do, you know, we talked about reviews and other offers. Another thing that has become kind of common with e-commerce businesses is sliding in, you know, a request to either join their subscriptions or create a membership within those receipt emails. Some people find that, you know, when you're checking out in a store for them to create an account, sometimes there's that friction. You don't know if you're going to want to come back to this company and make another purchase, so you just, you know, check out as a guest. Whereas if you send that follow-up email with, you know, they've already made that purchase, and then maybe prompt them with, you know, some sort of offer or just, you know, the benefits of becoming a member or something like that, that's another opportunity to like get them into your ecosystem and, you know, constantly have them available for marketing and selling other products to them.
Yeah, for sure. So just to recap on receipt marketing, this is really easy to do in Shopify, by the way. You don't need a separate company for this. Shopify has, I think there's a notification section in Shopify. I'd have to look up, probably under settings. And you can customize all of the text that goes out in your order confirmation or in your shipping confirmation emails. So you can play around with that stuff. You know, like we said, lots and lots of potential there. You can put in links to your social media, maybe a discount code for next time that will encourage that customer to come back. You could do links to review sites, like tons of different options there. But I think just, again, making sure that it's in there as part of your marketing stack, to get a little buzzwordy, is really important to keeping those customers as loyal ones after Black Friday.
Totally.
So social media is obviously, I think, I don't know, probably the one that comes top of mind to people when they think about customer retention or like customer loyalty to a brand. You know, you in particular work a lot on, or have worked on, Facebook and Instagram. How valuable do you see those two platforms as kind of a way to retain customers and keep them engaged. We had Paul from Pura Vida, other Paul again, from Pura Vida on Monday, who talked about how Instagram is really important to them, how he kind of thought Facebook was going, a little by the wayside just because you basically had to pay to get your content in front of people on Facebook. Do you have any thoughts to share on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think the platform is kind of irrelevant. It's just whether or not you're engaging with those people on that platform. If it's Instagram, yeah, obviously. If you have a good brand for that platform, I mean, obviously Pura Vida, I think they have almost 1 million followers. They kill it on Instagram. And yeah, engaging. If it's on Instagram, you don't want to just answer questions, but you want to go out and proactively engage with that audience as well. It's not always super easy, depending on how many people you're following. But anyone that basically comments or DMs you should try to get back to them, because if obviously specifically if it's related to product or a purchase or something like that. Facebook, I mean, it just depends. If you're just posting organically on Facebook, yeah, you're not going to reach as many people, so you're probably not going to have as many comments and conversations on your page. But if you're advertising, you still want to get to those comments that people are placing on your ads. One thing you can look at too is there's a lot of chatbots coming out now that work with Facebook ads, where you can prompt them to automatically send messages to people if there's certain keywords that they put into their comments. But another thing that's good for Facebook as well is for those reviews. Obviously organic content's kind of dying on Facebook, but if people still visit those pages, if they see those reviews, that's going to help as well. It also helps for search engine results as well. Any reviews on social media help your rankings on search engines. And then one thing that not a lot of e-commerce stores are huge on, unless you're a really big store, is Twitter. But the one thing that's good about Twitter is it's one of the first places that people go when they want to complain or reach out.
That's a good point.
So even if you don't have a huge following, it might be good to have a presence there. That's just the kind of the way that people when they're dealing with e-commerce reach out to brands.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, as far as like retention goes, again, I think we talked about this on Monday. It's really important that first off, you go where your audience is. Yeah. So, heading back to Pura Vida, just because they're a very successful brand on Shopify Plus, they go to Instagram because their target demographic is 25 to 35-year-old females who are on Instagram.
Yeah.
This might be different for your brand. It all depends. We talk a lot about knowing your target audience and who you're selling to, and Shopify can give you some data on that, but just making sure that you choose a social platform that your customers are actually on, and engaged with.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know almost everybody that I know has Facebook in some form, but that doesn't mean they use Facebook all the time. They might check it once a week, and if they're only checking it once a week, your brand has a 3 or 4% chance of making it to their news feed. The odds aren't great. So not super good for customer retention, or it might be. Again, you really have to know your audience and kind of get a good idea of what they're looking for and where they are on social media.
Absolutely.
So as far as it relates to retention, I think we've talked about a couple good topics today. We talked about collecting email addresses and making sure that you at least have those in your system, and then on top of that, using them for something. So sending follow-up emails maybe a week after Black Friday, whether it's asking for a review, asking for follows on social media, just like a generic, you can send out like a canned letter that just says, hey, how's your purchase going? Or, hey, did everything arrive all right? We just wanted to check in. So that kind of serves two purposes. A, it hopefully gets the customer thinking about whether or not they were satisfied with your brand, and B, it lets you get ahead of any problems, because if they were going to go complain on social media, well, they have a direct link to you. So collecting those email addresses, we mentioned Privy is a really good free tool. I think Privy, pretty sure. If you use MailChimp, MailChimp has one called MailChimp Subscribe as well. There's a ton of different options. So talked about collecting email addresses. We talked about receipt marketing, very, very important. Change your order confirmations in Shopify under the notifications section in the settings section.
Yes.
Probably.
Settings, notifications.
Order confirmation.
Yes, I believe so.
Whatever. Somewhere close to there. And and so just taking advantage of receipt marketing. Remember, that's an offer that they get really while they're still in the purchase mindset. You know, they're going to get that email 2 minutes after they make their purchase, or less in most cases. So they're still thinking about that purchase. They still have it in their head. And if you can hit them with a follow-up offer there, whether it's a discount code or a reminder that you've got a sale going on a week after Black Friday and that they should come back and check that out too, you know, or a complimentary product that might work well with...
Hit them with that FOMO offer.
The FOMO offer, yeah. You know, just hit them with something. I mean, receipt marketing is so powerful in e-commerce, and it's almost like the hidden secret. You know, there's so few brands that leverage it effectively, but there's such a good opportunity there. You know, because customers are so engaged with receipts when they buy online. And then encouraging social media follows is kind of our third big tip for today. Again, know where your audience is and which social media platforms they're using. You know, get them engaged and coming back and interacting with your brand. You know, and do your best to get them to make that second purchase. Because like we said, getting the first purchase is really difficult. Getting the second purchase is a little less difficult, but you know, it's still pretty high up there. And then the third and the fourth and the fifth are a lot easier once they've made the second, because they, you know, they have like some repetition. They know that your brand is working for them, and they know that you've been able to sell effectively to them in the past, and they can trust you. So a lot of different opportunities there. I don't know, anything else to add, Paul?
I think just kind of going back to the kind of, I don't know if you want to call it like personalization or something like that, but I know a big thing these days too is, you know, kind of how you present your product and that type of stuff. So I mean, like, you know, certain companies put a lot of effort into the kind of unboxing experience. You know, something like as simple as a handwritten note to go along with your order, that kind of stuff is something that people will, you know, share on social media and tell their friends about. And like, that's where you can get a lot of good, like, we talk about social media, it's user-generated content and that sort of thing as well. Like, social proof is so powerful and such a big thing these days that whenever you can take advantage of it without, you know, being, you know, scummy about it, definitely go ahead and do that, because it's just, the proof is in the pudding. Like, people look at reviews and they look at what their friends and family are doing. You know, even though we're in such a like digital age, you know, just referrals from other human beings is such a huge benefit to your business. If you can do it properly, you got to take advantage of it. Yeah,
the packaging insert is a good one. So I subscribed to MeUndies, which I have mentioned almost every day at the office for the past 3 months. And anyway, so I subscribed to them probably a year ago, and it was the coolest thing. So the first package I ever got from them had it was a printed postcard, but it was signed in actual pen by presumably not the founder, but like somebody there signed it. And it just said like, "We're so happy to have you along for this ride. Thank you so much for joining us. If there's ever anything we can do, like, please let us know right away. You're part of the family now." And just, again, even though the postcard was printed, the fact that it was signed by an actual human who I know put that into the package for me was such a cool feeling, you know, and that like 100% kept me coming back after that, because it was like, wow, this is like they said, you're part of the family, you know, so I'm in, I got it. I'm part of the crew now.
Yeah, totally.
You know, so stuff like that can't be underestimated. I think I probably said a ton of potential way too many times in this webinar, but yeah, there's a lot of opportunity there.
A lot of opportunity
for sure. Well, we are coming up on a half hour here, so unless you have anything else to add, Paul, I think I'll do one last call out for questions in the chat box on the right-hand side. If you have anything that you would like to ask us, please let us know, and we'll be happy to answer. Other than that, I think we'll close this off in about a minute. So just a reminder, Black Friday University, our last BFCM Expert Series runs tomorrow, and I believe we're talking about email marketing, kind of going more in depth. We've had a talk already about some email marketing you can do around Black Friday. We're going to go in depth to a couple of those types of emails and just look at how you can set them up using a couple free tools, and we'll be talking about that again, usually about half an hour, 40 minutes. Next week, we have a series from Monday to Thursday, same time, same place, 1 o'clock, where we're going to do just walkthroughs of our app. So if you're still looking at running Black Friday sales, you can come back and we'll do like interactive walkthroughs, and we'll do screen sharing. You can take a look at take a look at what we're doing on our side and kind of mirror it on your store if you're having any issues setting up those apps whatsoever. So seeing no questions, I think we're all set. So thank you, Mr. Rajat. That was a terrible handshake. That was not a handshake either. It was a high
I don't
five.
have the wrist flexion for it.
Oh, sorry, I forgot. Anyways, so thanks for tuning in, guys. We will see you tomorrow and next week. We have a big doomsday clock. I think 8 days left until Black Friday. Like, it's coming. So. It's getting close. But we're on the home stretch, and we know you guys are getting planned and prepared and ready to go. So thank you very much for tuning in, and we will talk to you soon.